Alright, here we go again. Welcome to part 2 of my superhero movie retrospective series that I am now realizing almost exclusively consists of me shilling modern DC Comics adaptations and barely acknowledging anything Marvel has done. If that isn't character development, I don't know what is. Anyway, part 1 concluded with Swamp Thing, which ended sometime over the summer. Following all of that, Amazon released the second and unfortunately final season of The Tick, as well as the debut season of The Boys. After these, we got the depressingly, painfully below average second season of Titans. This was followed by the Taxi Driver King of Comedy homage / ripoff, known as Todd Phillips' Joker. We then got one of the biggest breaths of fresh air the genre has received in a while with HBO's Watchmen, the somewhat mixed bag that is the DC Universe Harley Quinn series, and concluded this year of superhero content with the first half of the CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths. The Umbrella Academy. I somehow forgot to talk about this one back in part 1, but better late than never, I suppose. I mean, it's pretty much Doom Patrol from just a bit before Doom Patrol, isn't it? Nah, not really. It is about a group of powerful people with a tragic backstory brought together by a rich man, but this time he's not played by the most underrated James Bond actor. But seriously, despite a few similarities, this show is nothing like Doom Patrol. It's about these people who were all born at the exact same time, all from women who were not pregnant when the day began. Of these 43 children, 7 were adopted by this one old rich guy. They've all got cool and unique powers. One of them is super strong and also part ape, I guess. One of them can control minds, another can speak to the dead, and Ellen Page does nothing aside from play the violin. They have a monkey butler and go on wacky adventures. It also has a pretty killer soundtrack. The Tick. I have yet to finish this, but from what I've seen so far, it seems to be a bit of a step up from the previous season. I don't believe this is anywhere near the best of the genre, but it is a pretty damn entertaining series, presenting an unbeatable superhero who has forgotten his life before becoming the Tick, and a superhero without superpowers. We are given something unique in the genre. It offers a unique brand of humor and characters unlike those shown in any other series or film. It's perfectly cheesy and campy, and an absolute joy. The Boys. Oh, The Boys, yeah. Are you sick of seeing superpowered individuals being portrayed as heroes, as the best of us, as those who can do no wrong and will always fight for justice? Do you want to see what would happen if the worst scum of the earth was gifted these abilities? If Superman was just the worst? Well, Amazon has the show for you. When it comes to flipping the genre on its head, this series is something truly special. Who are you supposed to root for in these shows? The superheroes, right? Superman is the good guy, right? Batman is the good guy, right? Aquaman is the good guy, right? The Flash is the good guy, right? Not in this universe, baby. In this universe, all the heroes suck. They kill and abuse and rape, and then they laugh about it. These aren't Zack Snyder's versions of Batman and Superman. These aren't killers we're supposed to root for. These are absolute assholes, and the show knows it. The main driving force of the series is the boys themselves. A motley crew assembled to combat these villains in heroes' clothing. This group of misfits consists of Billy Butcher, Huey, Mother's Milk, and Frenchie. Like the Doom Patrol, these are characters who were each shaped and molded by tragedy. Each member of this small militia was in some way affected by a member of the Seven, this universe's version of the Justice League. You remember those horrible things I mentioned earlier? Those things these apparent superheroes have done?
I love that stuff, the killing.
A lot of killing.
Well, the boys were victims or bystanders of these horrendous acts and decided to take action. This show is violent, gory, brutal, and just about everything else a show of this nature needs. The plot is super engaging, the characters are very unique and interesting, and it's surprisingly touching and emotional in a few places. It's a great show and a true breath of fresh air in this genre. Titans. Why does this show exist? How is this season, after so much criticism, somehow worse than the first? Why, and no disrespect to Ian Glenn, the dude was great in Game of Thrones, is Batman so goddamn old? If Jason Todd looks like this, and Dick Grayson looks like this, then Bruce Wayne should not look like this. Why is Superboy the most interesting character? Why is Jason Todd still alive? Why is Jason Todd still alive? Why is Deathstroke a lame character and is completely wasted? Seriously, the entire point of making these videos was to talk about things I like, but I genuinely couldn't help myself on this one. I had to at least mention how incoherent, nonsensical, and how just straight up painful to watch this series is. Joker is a movie that doesn't hold up as well as I had hoped it would. I absolutely loved it the first time, and I thought it was pretty good the second time, and I'm pretty sure I'll like it just a little bit less the next time. It's a movie that is almost entirely carried by the lead performance of Joaquin Phoenix.
And the Oscar goes to Joaquin Phoenix, Joker.
It also looks quite good and has a solid score. But the writing tends to vary from passable to straight up awful.
Okay, I'm waiting for the punchline.
There's no punchline. It's not a joke.
Not only is the dialogue often bizarre and absolutely ridiculous, but the entire plot structure is ripped straight from Scorsese films from the 70s and 80s. I'll be going into some quick spoilers at this point, so if you want to avoid those, skip to this point. So, we've got a mentally ill loner living in a big city. He feels betrayed and beaten down by society. He meets an attractive woman, and she eventually turns him down because he does something strange or creepy.
You gotta be kidding.
What?
This is a dirty movie.
He is eventually pushed over the edge and completely turns against society. Also, Robert De Niro is in it. Now, was I referring to Joker or Taxi Driver? How about a mentally ill loner living in a big city, betrayed and beaten down by society, wants to be a comedian?
I'm gonna be a comedian.
He's a big fan of this one talk show host, and he dreams of being just like him. Eventually, he is pushed over the edge and turns against said talk show host. Also, Robert De Niro is in it. So, was it Joker or the King of Comedy? Whatever, I'm not trying to say that Joker is a bad movie. I still enjoy it. I just feel that a lot of people, myself included, gave it way more praise than it actually deserved.
Get what you fucking deserve!
HBO's Watchmen. They said it couldn't be done. You can't adapt or make a sequel to Watchmen. It won't work. Don't even try. Zack Snyder already made an attempt, and it was fine at best, and completely missed the point and essence of Watchmen at worst. This new series proved that it is absolutely possible to recapture the magic of that initial series while building something new, something for a new world. Watchmen has always been a comic that presented modern values and social commentary, so simply remaking the graphic novel would remove this idea of relevancy in modern times. Having this new series set in 2019 within the same universe as the initial comic means that it can present us with a social commentary that is actually relevant to the world we live in, while still maintaining the general feel of the graphic novel. Having this follow-up focus on race relations was an absolutely genius idea. Of course, people will shout, "Get woke, go broke," but I thought this element of the show worked wonderfully. Seeing parallels to the comic, returning characters, and continuing plots was beautiful to see as a fan of the original graphic novel. A true masterpiece of modern television. Harley Quinn. I think this might be the biggest surprise to come out of the DC Universe streaming service. That might be a bit much considering how great Doom Patrol and Swamp Thing were, but this is genuinely quite a bit better than I feel most of us were expecting. It is absolutely hilarious in all the best ways, and it does so incredibly well with these characters. It somehow makes these characters humorous while still maintaining the characteristics they would have outside of this series. Like, Calendar Man knows exactly how long Harley Quinn has been in prison,
183 days.
but he can't remember his son's birthday. Let me repeat that real quick. Calendar Man forgot his son's birthday.
For the last time, I'm sorry, Debbie. Come on, I know it's June-ish.
The entire series is filled with these types of jokes based on characteristics of these classic characters.
You could blow them up.
Not really my thing.
I could blow them up.
It also doesn't treat Harley Quinn's relationship with Joker as something that was even remotely positive.
You know I'd love to take you pudding, but I'd never deny you the pleasure of buying me time to escape.
We see how abusive and manipulative he truly was. Because he's the Joker. Of course he was a shitty boyfriend. And we see Harley as she initially refuses to see these problems and eventually comes to terms with them and finally breaks up with the Joker.
We broke up.
Seeing not only this relationship end, but her beautifully realized friendship with Poison Ivy is incredible.
What do I have to do to prove that Joker does not love you?
And this series is possibly one of the best written pieces of media utilizing these characters. Crisis on Infinite Earths. Ugh. I went into this one having almost no prior knowledge of these shows. I had seen the first 10 episodes of Arrow, nothing else. So, with no investment in these characters and no real knowledge of the plot leading up to this, what did I think about it? All in all, it's not bad. It's a pretty good time in a few places. Some dumb shit was to be expected, and the plot is pretty convoluted, but let's be real. I was only watching this for the cameos and with the hope that Michael Keaton's Batman would make a return.
I'm Batman.
Alright, so I actually want to go into specifics about these, so I'm going to spoil a couple of things, mostly regarding these cameos. So if you haven't seen it and also care about this stuff, skip to this point in the video. Kevin Conroy's Batman is the worst in this, and I kinda love it. For one, having Kevin Conroy, the definitive voice of Batman,
This is Batman,
come back and portray Batman in live action is incredible. But also portraying this classic voice of Batman as being one that has lost his way.
You understand how many people, how many worlds are going to die?
If they're anything like this world, maybe that's for the best.
Has lost faith in the system and no longer believes in his no-kill rule. The one that truly makes the character of Batman,
No guns, no killing,
is poetic in a way. Like, this is a man that we have heard in this role for years, in the animated series, in animated movies, in video games, and his portrayal of Batman is not only recognized as being the voice of Batman, but most instances of his Batman performance are also seen as simply the best interpretations of the character. From the gadgets, to the morals, to the way he carries himself, to the things he says and the ways he works, his version of Batman is so integral to what we think of Batman, that seeing this man, this voice, this symbol, portray the character in a way that is so fundamentally different from the one we have seen him portray before is nothing short of heartbreaking. Seeing our heroes fall from grace, seeing them become a shell of their former selves hurts us. And the writers of this show somehow made us feel this way about this version of Batman that we only see for a few minutes. And that is truly remarkable. More key cameos are, of course, the Supermen, namely Brandon Routh's Superman and Tom Wellings' Superman. Brandon Routh returns to prove that he is the only Superman actor to even come close to the performance quality of Christopher Reeve. I feel that really only these two actors have truly and properly brought the character of Superman to life, perfectly demonstrating the duality between Clark Kent and Superman, as well as showing Superman as a symbol for hope.
Hope is the light that lifts us out of darkness.
Brandon Routh maintains this quality in his return to the character and is an absolute highlight of the event. Tom Wellings is Superman, also known as the Superman from the CW's Smallville, is shown to have given up his powers for a normal life with Lois Lane. I personally have never watched Smallville, but I truly felt these moments served as a beautiful send-off for this character. Of course, the biggest surprise, I'd say, was Ezra Miller's Flash. Nothing exactly exceptional from this one, honestly. Mostly just the shock of seeing this take on the Flash again. Hopefully his movie actually happens someday. Overall, this event was pretty entertaining, but really nothing groundbreaking or new. In the end, 2019 did have some pretty solid additions to the genre, but maybe not quite as much as I initially thought when I decided to do this thing. Either way, it was pretty fun to take a look back on all this content, and I'm excited to see what 2020 has in store. If Birds of Prey is any indication, this year is going to be another win for DC, with a new season of Doom Patrol on the way, in addition to Wonder Woman 1984, as well as Marvel's movie slate looking pretty bland. I think DC definitely has a solid chance of becoming the king of this genre by the end of the year.